and welcome to Avalon Springs Farm on the Thursday threads that I do every week with the farm chicks. There are a couple of other farm chicks, but Dancing Leaf Farm, Flying Goat Farm, and Withers Wool. As I said, I'm Avalon Springs Farm, and usually I come to you on these weekly little live streams and I tell you about things that are on sale or for sale, or perhaps some event, and in this time of the pandemic, some adapted event to the pandemic. But today I decided I would just teach a little small craft. Maybe because we're all still in lockdown of some various level, and we need things to do at home, and we're thinking about the earth and trying to do things that are eco-friendly while we're home. So I guess that was the mood that put me in. I made up these little kits. Jenny, you can pan down to the basket of them, because a frequently asked question, mostly from my non-knitters, but still thus a frequently asked question, is all about my dryer balls. People want to know how I make them, what do I make them, how do you use them. So I do sell them on my website, finished ones, but I thought I would teach you guys how to make them and actually make a little kit so you can make them at home. I guess the first thing I should tell you is, so you get a couple things in the kit, and I mean the kit is for sale, but we're going to talk about how you can do this no matter what. The parts that you need from me or you might have at your house. The kit includes this little card, the purple card about dryer balls that you get if you buy a dryer ball. My instructions for written out for how to make a dryer ball. The fiber that you'll need, and at the bottom a sock. You want me to zoom in on the sock, and the fiber is still in the bag, but I'll get those out. In a previous conversation, I talked about, like, when people go to my website and they see these different colored dryer balls, why do I have different colored dryer balls? Well, there could be two reasons. People tend to use, commercially they make a lot of white ones, but white ones will shed, they shouldn't, but they can shed white fibers on dark clothing. Their main job is to pick up lint and other fibers, but you know, it's possible. And so the reverse is true also. So these naturally colored, darker dryer balls in either the gray or the brown would go with clothing that is darker clothing. Again, they're not supposed to shed, but or dehair, but you know, it's nice to have white with white and dark with dark. We even do our laundry that way. Frequently we put our whites together and our color clothing together and our darks together. I don't know if all of you guys are that organized with the laundry. I am not. So the other way that I use the dryer balls is I make them smell. I remember that the white one smells like lavender and the brown one smells like my favorite perfume, something like that. And I'll hit on this again at the end. So why would you use a dryer ball? That's on the back of the card written out, but I'm going to just kind of pop off some of the things that I think that are, like, why I think they're great. I think they're great because I'm trying to get away from using chemicals, and this is a chemical-free fabric softener. Then if I'm not buying fabric softener, that saves me that cost. Again, we talked about reducing lint and static in your dryer. Great for that, awesome for that. Because they bounce around and separate your clothing, they actually dry your clothes faster, which a dryer sheet does not do. So you can, you know, dial back the amount of time that you're using your electric dryer. So that saves both time and energy and cost again. They are not toxic in any way, like a dryer sheet might be. They're all natural, and they support locally grown farms and fiber artists like me, which is awesome. So, and then this card also has the care and use for your eventual dryer ball. So on with the directions in the making of the dryer ball. So in this little sheet I wrote it out, and I put in some little sort of icon style photos of your steps. But let me take you through it. So you get out the directions. Hopefully you read the directions. But I will post this video from today on YouTube, and I even state that on the back, so that if you go to my YouTube channel, by the end of this afternoon, I'll post this video that supports these directions. So inside the kit, you're going to get some locks. These are mohair locks. They are not wool on purpose. And the reason is because mohair is a heavier, denser fiber when you compact it down than wool. We all talk about some of the memory of wool and the many assets of wool for being bouncy and lofty. Well, mohair is the opposite. It's drapey and slippery and dense. So if you put that in the center of your dryer ball has a little more like verve to sort of bounce around in there, instead of an all wool dryer ball that can just follow your clothing around in a circle. The mohair inside these will make them, crisscross and bounce around. So you squish the mohair in the little bag that I give you down tight in your hand, and then I also supply you with carded fiber. Now this carded fiber could be a combination of different natural fibers that I have here on my farm and that I got locally, mostly from our shearer, Emily. But the primary ingredient in this is the wool. So I've squished down my mohair in my hand, and I'm going to start wrapping the roving around, and maybe I'll pull it off and just let it lightly finish and get another piece and do it again in a different direction. I will say this, I talk about making sure that you cover all the dimensions. You cover the up, down, the sideways, and the back and front direction, because basically what we want to do here is we want kind of as much as possible an even distribution of this fiber around the initial inner core that we started with. And I'm just going to keep going and changing directions, wrapping it around. And I'm tearing it off mostly because to turn a corner creates kind of a lumpy area, and to get as spherical as possible of a dryer ball, I want it to be sort of like smooth and even. That is bigger than this, as you can see, or this one, as you can see. Then I am going to stuff it in my sock. I'm going to put this down for a second. About the sock, I use El Cheapo nylon-y men's socks that you would get at some box store. To have nylon content in your sock is good. The socks that have a terry cloth side, you want to flip inside out. I'm going to flip this one inside out because I want the smooth side of the sock that's usually on the outside to be next to the dryer ball. Or you can do it like this. Here, another way of doing that is I can put so now this is the way it comes. I can put my hand all the way in the sock, grab my dryer ball. Oop, that came under the gravel a little bit. Grab my dryer ball and then flip this guy in there so that my dryer ball is now in my sock. I'm going to tie it off And now this is ready to be wet felted. There is more than one way to make a dryer ball. My directions are for wet felting a dryer ball. You can dry felt a dryer ball by using a tapestry, well, not a tapestry, a needle felting needle, which is about the same size as a tapestry needle, but a needle felting needle has a barbed point at the bottom to create friction, and you continually poke the entire surface of the dryer ball essentially to get it into shape and to get it the outer edges of it to get it felted. I choose, it doesn't mean that there's no right or wrong way. I choose wet felting in these directions, maybe because I was an art teacher, and if it's messy or wet or sloppy or stinky, you would do it in the art room. So, what do you think I'm attracted to? I'm attracted to the wet, sloppy process of making a dryer ball. So, okay, so now you're going to put this in your washing machine. You're going to set your washing machine to like a low setting, and you're going to fill it with soap. I got out some samples. My samples are from the dollar store. I am not endorsing any brand of soap here at all, but I just wanted you to basically see laundry soap, dish soap, and bar soap, because people who see this video will have different circumstances. And so the reason for the dish soap is because, not that I want you to put a ton of that in your washing machine and make bubbles come out everywhere, but a dribble of dish soap in there will help take out any lanolin or oil on these natural fibers, and that will make them lock together and felt easier. Your laundry soap should have something in it that removes things like grease and oil, so you could use laundry soap. If you're not doing this in a washing machine, but you're doing it in a sink with hot soapy water, then you want a good bar soap that has a grease cutting agent in it, and something with lye or something like that. That's for getting not a dainty soap with lotion in it. You want the opposite. You want a soap as if you had scrubby, dirty hands and you want to clean your hands. So essentially, these three products, I mention them because the goal is no fabric softener, no hand lotion, no anything that will work against the felting process. So then you put your dryer ball in if you're going to use the washing machine, put your dryer ball in the washing machine. You could put it in there with clothes so that you don't have one dryer ball going around in a bucket of full of water of your washing machine. You want to use the hottest setting though, so that may determine what else goes in the washing machine when you make your dryer ball. So you want to use the hottest water you can get a hold of, and soap, hot soapy water. So now because we're outside, hello goaty girls sleeping in the pasture. It's July here. It's July, and I gotta tell you something, look. Okay, my goats are asleep, we're in the shade, but I have my little scarf on, and behind the scenes I have my little cup of coffee. I don't know why. This is just my signature look. This is like my little uniform. And I made this particular scarf during the Black Lives Matter marches. It's my Black Lives. So all the different scarves have different meanings to me. And so this one is my Black Lives Matter marching scarf. Sorry, but that will tell if you see this video 50 years from now. Oh, Karen believed in Black Lives Matter. And coffee, because I can't do all this without a cup of coffee. So, all right, that was my little divergence from the show, as if the washing machine were running. And I got 2 out. We did 2 this morning. I'm going to take this one. There were some suds here when you started, but they all flew away. Oh, we really had suds here to show you these are wet. It's going to be hard to show you on video that these are wet, but they are wet. They made the table wet a little bit. So, peeling one out. When you take it out of the sock, there will be a little resistance. Like, you actually end up... Oh, did you hear that? Oh, do you hear that little... Okay, so then, oh, this one came out easy. But I'm glad that maybe that didn't convey that sound. But there was like a little tearing away of the fiber, because if it successfully felts, these outermost fibers actually get a tiny little bit felted into the sock, and you end up pulling it away. And sometimes it takes longer than others. Again, there's really almost no dryer ball that I've like completely failed and had to throw away. But I'm not saying if you do it enough, that won't happen. And for somebody that they'll be like, oh, I can't peel my sock away. It can happen. As a matter of fact, that's why I use the socks. There's a lot of directions out there to use women's nylons. And I don't like using women's nylons because I feel like not only do they break up in the washing machine, but to get this surface really felted and smooth, the nylon actually just becomes part of the dryer ball. And it kind of has like a icky, ugly look at the end, and I don't want that nylon in there, because then it's not picking up. If the nylon sticks to the outside of the dryer ball, you've removed one of the jobs of the dryer ball. It's supposed to pick up lint, and it can't pick up lint with the nylon stuck, because the nylon repels the lint. And so that's why it's really, really important that it be this natural wool fiber, because it's just hugging all that lint in your dryer. So this was an example of a successful removal. I'm not sure about this one. We did this one first with warm water, and instead of all the way hot, and that was actually a perfect goof, because it shows that even in my household we often make boo-boos. So this one might not felt as well. Again, okay, let's see. Yay, it did. There's that typical little, I made this one in such a hurry, but here we go. Okay, so, all right, I can tell that this one didn't, Jenny, can you see me squish this one down?
Yes.
Okay, so it can be felted again. It probably, oh my goodness, there is also a typical thing from my household. Every sock has some grass in it. So, but you guys are getting new socks, so in the little kits that I make. So this one, it's finished, but it could go back. This one I would put it in the dryer. So some of the fibers, let's see if we can put it against the tablecloth. Do you see there's more loose fibers? Those loose fibers, you can either cut them off or put them in the dryer, and they will either come out or adhere and bounce around. Do you see that this one has way fewer fibers that are stray or away from the surface of the dryer ball? So that would be the difference between more finished and less finished.
And this one retains a shape. Do you see that? So that
Oh,
one's
you mean when you
perfect-
squish it?
Yeah.
And this one is more firmer. Yeah, this one is firmer. This one is squishier. That will harden up with continued felting. Okay, so those are two good examples. This one, like a finished one, this is the firmest.
Yes.
You can still squish it, but it is, I wasn't squishing it as hard, but yeah, the same amount of pressure on this one, and on this one. Oh man, I have dye in my fingernails. Sorry guys, if you see my fingers on TV, sometimes they're blue and purple. But there we go, I've squished all three to give you a sort of a sense of the fact that there's a difference. So, and as you use this dryer ball in the dryer, it will continue to harden and contract and become more and more firm. And that's really essentially it. My last little part of the conversation is tailoring your dryer balls to your specific taste. And again, I got out some fabric softener that I got in the dollar store. I am not endorsing any brand of fabric softener. I just needed something quick and cheap for this demo. So I have some fabric softener. I have some essential oils. Again, no brand is displayed here as better than any other brand, and some fancy perfumes. What I want to show you is, if you want fabric softener on your dryer ball, you do this. You take I know this is going to look awkward, but I'm taking the dryer ball, I'm going to press it against and I'm just going to squish that a little bit in there, scrape off the top, and there's a slight circle where you can see the fabric softener went into the dryer ball. Okay, now that is going to say that if you like a certain fabric softener, you like the way it smells, you like its anti-wrinkle properties or something, a tiny little portion of this thing that you like is now on this dryer ball. If I were going to put this dryer ball in the dryer now, I would put it in with some blue jeans first. Oh, that's a good point also with these essential oils. So let's say I've got one here with the fabric softener. This one I'm going to use the citronella oil. I'm going to show you why. Okay, why on earth would I put citronella oil on my dryer ball? Oh my gosh! Tell you in a minute. Okay, and then this one, some fancy perfume that my mother gave me at Christmas. Oh God, that smells good. Watch the bees. Again, not endorsing any particular brand of perfume. Okay, and I know that this isn't, what do they call on the cartoons, smell-o-vision? But this dryer ball now smells like this. This dryer ball smells like this, and this one smells like the fabric softener. You can use even other things. The sky is the limit. But I will tell you, these two products have an oily property to them. So, and this one more synthetic, but this one genuinely oily. So, do you see this linen shirt that I have on? Yes. You could put this dryer ball with the perfume in the dryer with something, to fluff up some linen, and there's no worry that the perfume is going to come off on your shirt. But I wouldn't do that with this one. For the first dryer run, again, not that it's ever going to possibly, it's so unlikely. But I still would say, since I'm talking to the great wide world, and it could happen to somebody, anything with an oily property, the first use with the fabric softener or the oil in it, put some blue jeans in it or something where it is just never ever going to be an issue if some of that extra fabric softener came off on your blue jeans. First of all, your blue jeans are going to dry, and so you would never see it. But you just, on certain super fine things that you might put in the dryer, you wouldn't want a concentration of this stuff in one spot. And it lasts for a long time. I mean, many loads. But everybody's personal taste of how intense they want something to smell is different, so that's up to you how frequently you add it in. And I mean, I was just saying the bit about what you would first use it with out of an abundance of caution. You don't have to do it like that. So those are three final apps. Oh, and now I remember where I left off. the reason for the citronella. So there's a number of essential oils. Citronella is probably perhaps the most recognizable, that have a deterrence factor to little critters on the planet that you might not want. Who wants ants at their picnic table? So if you have your picnic tablecloth, pop it in the dryer with some citronella oil on your dryer ball, and you suddenly have a tablecloth that is less attractive to those little critters who might invade your picnic. If you're a hiker or a camper and you come home from hiking and camping and you have to wash your socks and your stuff and your vest and your tent, then when you dry that stuff, use your favorite combination of essential oils that you use to ward off the bugs that are in your area on your dryer ball, and you suddenly have an increased deterrence for those bugs without extra chemicals in your life. So that's kind of a nice little personal life hack. I have not heard that hint from other fiber artists. It's one that I just sort of thought of myself, but my customers over the years have come back and said thank you, so I passed that along. Okay, and the last but not least, these are not on my website yet. They will be on my website. When I mentioned at the beginning that we're the Thursday threads and there's different fiber artists talking today, the last person goes at 1 o'clock. So rather than divert your attention away from our last artist, I will post these for sale at 2 o'clock if you want the kit. Pros and cons of the kit. The pros are my directions are written for this particular fiber, but you, so what are you, how bound to buying my kit are you? I think that once you read the directions and make one, you are not bound to use my fiber. You are just bound to get some carded fiber and some mohair, and you probably have a local farm in your area that you could continue to support. So there's some parts of this that it's great that you will come to me for, but other parts that once you figure out how to make it, you could probably continue to make more without every single time buying a kit. Also, I do have these supplies separately on my website. You can buy a bag of mohair blocks, and you can buy the carded roving that makes the outside separately. So that's why I feel like this is genuinely a teaching moment, is because yes, you can get these things from me, and I'm thrilled if you do. But wherever you are in the world, there is a farm near you that's probably producing some of this, and you can make one locally. So thank you for joining me. Again, you might be on YouTube seeing this, but if you're not, I will post this video later today on YouTube so that you can always come back and hear this part of my talk if it was helpful. And you can get the supplies on AvalonSpringsFarm.com. And am I leaving anything out, Jenny?
No.
The sources. Oh, you know what? If you have questions or if you have any difficulty, I am always trying to help people create success with their own fiber projects. So feel free to email me. I don't want anybody to feel like that I am not approachable. So you can email me at AvalonSpringsFarm@Comcast.net too. So there's 3 extra support systems in place there. Thank you for joining me today, and see you next Thursday.